everyone. And we all know what today is. On Mondays, all roads lead to book club. And I'm so excited to be here with you all. I could not wait to get back so that we could go forward with our book, The Motivation Manifesto. So as you are logging on, you know what to do. Let us know where you're logging in from, what city, what state, and or what country you might be logging in from. And as we're getting ready to get started, I need you to do me a big favor. I need you to put those hashtags in the comments. BookTube, Goodreads, and BookTok. Put those hashtags in the comments. You should see them on the screen shortly. There they go. Right, BookTube, Goodreads, and BookTok. I need everybody for me. Now, also, I need you to share this with someone, right? Invite them in. They probably are in the middle of, even if they're driving, guess what? They can turn it on so they can listen. If they're cooking dinner, they can turn it on so that they can listen. The best thing about this book club is that you don't even need to have the book to participate. So good evening, Sonia. Good evening, Misha. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And as you're logging in, let us know so we can shout you out. What city, what state, what country are you logging in from? Now, why is book club so important? Why is this a thing that I do not miss unless there's like a major holiday or something like that? And there are several reasons, but let me give you a few. You cannot ever pour from an empty cup. And so I am here every single Monday to fill your cup. Also, leaders are readers. And if we want to lead to any capacity or in any capacity, then guess what? We must read. And you know, for a long time, I thought growing up in my church that all I had to do was read the Bible. But there is so much more that we've got to add into our repertoire to stretch us, to help us grow. Because although we do get all of our life principles in the Bible, there is so much more that's going to help us with our personal development and growth. And last but certainly not least, we are never going to earn more than we learn. So good evening. I see you, Canada. I see you, Georgia. I see you, Pittsburgh. Letitia. I see you, Cheryl. We've got Utah in the house. We've got Philadelphia in the house. We've got Georgia in the house. We've got Canada in the house, you guys. We've got California that are joining us. There are people from all around the world. So take some time now to share this live. We are live right here on YouTube, and it should be streaming live on Facebook as well. Y'all know that I keep my phones beside me so that we can look up some words if we need to. I am super duper excited about this particular book, and that is because this book has literally given us a dual kick, a uppercut, a jab, black eye, literally in a good way. I feel the challenge. I feel the elevation of our mindset. I feel all of those things taking place. Now, I also want you to know that I have a gift. And the gift that I have is that I am able to really get into the mind of the author of the book. And therefore, you will get more out of book club because you're going to be able to understand this, and we're going to break this down into layman's terms. Now, I want to let you know that I am by no means a perfect being, right? I don't claim to know it all, but what I do claim is that I know that I have a gift and an anointing on my life to get into the mind of the reader. And so let's go. We ended last week on page 10. For all of you that are joining along with us, the introduction kicked our butt, right? But we ended on page 10, right under the ultimate narrative of the human species is its quest for more freedom and the related struggles to ascend to higher standards of living and relating. And we are now reading chapter 1 on freedom. I want freedom for the full expression of my personality, Mahatma Gandhi. All right. The ultimate narrative of the human species is its quest for more freedom and the related struggles to ascend to higher standards of living and relating. And I will let you know, we are not, good evening, Deborah. We are not going to rush through this book. And the reason why we're not going to rush through this book is because I believe that there is something very magical that's going to take place in all of our lives if we apply this book while reading. Knowledge is not power, but it is applied knowledge that's power. All right, so let's go. Let's dive in as we are reading the Motivation Manifesto, 9 Declarations to Claim Your Personal Power by BURCHARD. In such divine desires to overcome tyranny, oppression, and the limits of our own darkness and small-mindedness, we find recurrent hope for humanity. Those who found hope and lived a free and happy life despite history's brutalities and darkness were not simply people of fortune or luck or fame, but rather of conscience and courage. It's funny, we were talking about faith this morning while we were walking, and we were talking about faith, and Elder Richardson said, faith comes, well, we talked about faith coming by hearing, right? Hearing. We also talked about, faith without works is dead, right? Faith without works is dead. It's kind of like the absence of courage. And I think that most people, I know we probably should have turned right. I think that most people don't realize that when it comes to courage, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is that even though I am afraid, I am going to do it. That's what courage is. And I want y'all to write that in the chat. Courage is not the absence of fear. All right. So they knew the demands of their time, that their destiny was unfolding with the man or woman to their left and to their right, and that they would need to remain motivated in overcoming both their internal demons and the social tyrants of the world. Internal demons. We all got them. We all have the little thing on our shoulder. On one side, it's telling us to behave, be good, be kind, be nice. And on the other side, we're fighting the demon that tells us to do the wrong thing. That tells us, it's okay. It reminds me last week when I was getting ready to make the left turn. And it wasn't until I was getting ready to make a left turn that I realized that there was a sign that said no turn, no left turn. Now, everything in me was like, Nina, you can go ahead and make the left turn. This ain't gonna be a big deal. But there was that thing on this side that was saying, Nina, don't do it. Nina, don't do it. And then I said out of my mouth, this would be the time that I would get a ticket. So I decided to keep going forward, to go out of my way, to have to come back and to go where I could make a legal U-turn, to come back. And when I made the right turn into the parking lot, there was a cop standing in the parking lot, waving every person who had made the left turn illegally, ready to write them a ticket. So both their internal demons and the social tyrants of the world, because we do realize that we are impressioned, that we are influenced by the social tyrants of the world. Theirs was a long march of effort and endurance and enlightenment. They declared without apologies their independence, their rights, and direction. Their only guide was an internal one, a manifesto in their minds that called for the courage to be themselves and the discipline to direct their energy toward higher purposes. Their only guide was an internal one. So let's stop right there. Because if their only guide was an internal one, then that means, why are we always, often looking for the answers outside of us? The book says their only guide, not their guide. I need you to really pay attention to what the author uses in his language. Their only guide was an internal one. a manifesto in their minds that called for the courage to be themselves and the discipline to direct their energy toward higher purposes. Listen to the language. Oh my goodness. The discipline to direct their energies toward higher purposes. See, what happens when you don't read in book club is you just read that. You don't take a pause to say, well, why would the author, he didn't just say their guide was an internal one. He says their only guide. That means stop looking to the left, stop looking to the right, stop waiting for somebody to give you the green light to go. The internal guide should be guiding you when you remain in a place where you are open to hearing from, for me, it's God. For you, it might be your higher power. I am not trying to force you to believe what I believe, right? And then it says, the discipline to direct their energy toward higher purposes. Because of their example, we have many social freedoms to be thankful for. Worldwide political freedom continues to grow or be desired. Well, that is, we hope, right? Financial freedoms are beginning to extend to more corners of the globe. We believe that. Individuality and uniqueness is winning in commerce. All the freedoms we take for granted in more liberated and abundant cultures, convenience on every corner, safety from physical threat, wide access to education and healthcare, sort of, kind of, right? Arrived on the backs of men and women dedicated to some form of freedom. And I'm not stuck. But when I think about freedom, like when I think about the word, when I think about the people that fought for our freedom, when I think about the words of Martin Luther King, that I had a dream that one day, when I think about all of those things, when I think about the people that keep themselves in a prison, although they're free. For this we owe previous generations, and in respect, future generations. There it is. For this we owe previous generations. We owe all of those people that were hosed. We owe all of those people. We owe Rosa Parks. We owe the people who decided, I'm not sitting in the back of the bus no more. This is where I want to sit. We now have the right to sit anywhere we want to on a bus, because one woman decided enough was enough. We now have the freedoms that we have because Martin Luther King decided that he was going to give his life for people to be equal. So freedom. For this we owe previous generations, and in respect, future generations, for the people that are still to come, that are fighting for our civil, humane freedoms, no less than to seek and to find our own modern personal freedom, right? For this we must awake each day in utter clarity that these are deeply momentous hours in our lives, when we will either shrink from similar greatness, preferring the approval of small minds, or stand on the shoulders of the noble and free people who refused to settle. Where are my folks that refuse to settle? Where are you? Where are you? If it's you, say, it's me, I'm here. Where are my people that are like, I refuse to settle. I'm not okay with living week to week, day to day, paycheck to paycheck. Deeply momentous hours about when will we either shrink from similar greatness, preferring the approval of small minds? Where are my people who will stop waiting for the approval of people with small minds? Who, if they've got a small mind, what they think doesn't matter anyway. So let us each in our own way and in our own voice echo their courage and proclaim freedom as our fight, our cause, the very challenge we awaken to experience and achieve. Why is voting so important? Because we owe that for the previous generations that fought for the right. Now that we have to go to those polls. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm going to tell you that if you don't vote, no vote is a vote. The doubts about freedom. Some have questioned if we have too much freedom. Now, y'all, I might agree with that. I believe that Americans are spoiled and entitled. We don't even know. We think we know what struggle is, but we really don't know what real struggle is. Some have questioned, do we have too much freedom? If our great liberties are too much of a good thing, the long light of the golden age of peace and prosperity has changed the world for the better. But for some, it has led to a sunburn on the soul. Woo! A sunburn on the soul. That's pretty heavy. An excessive exposure to abundance that has led to indolence, greed, narcissism, and entitlement. But such people, even as they might live in the more politically liberated patches of the earth, are not in truth free. So even though there are people who live in the more politically liberated patches on the earth, they are not in truth free. They are caged by their own recurring vices. The man afflicted by hunger for power or money for its own sake is just that, afflicted. He is tormented by incessant desires for more without cause. He is the most likely to wear a social mask to succeed, and thus he is always unsure of himself and his life. The deep tear inside always causing him to obsess about how to get more, why he doesn't have it already, and whom he will have to please or become in order to get it. The woman afflicted by the need for adoration cannot have a free moment of real joy away from her obsession with self. She is slave to the never-ending quest for youth and beauty and social acceptance. Her endless desire blinds her from areas of growth and alienates others, ripping away her chances at genuine self-expression and the soaring kind of true love she deserves. And for the entitled, there can be only a constant whining misery. No person who believes they should be given everything for nothing will ever be free from an immune envy and contempt for those who have more than they do. Woo! The entitled are perhaps the most caged of all, slave to a grand fiction that the world owes them anything at all. That was like a two-piece and a biscuit. The world owes them. The entitled are perhaps the most caged of all, slave to a grand fiction that the world owes them anything at all. Y'all ever see people who swear they serving, right? Swear they've got this servant's heart, but they sit around waiting to be served all the time. Let me get off that scripture, because I'm about to, if I say that, I might have some pastors and stuff mad at me. But anyway, Jesus served the people. That's all I'm going to say about that. So we find that even in abundant and politically free cultures, there is still the tyranny of conformity coupled with inner turmoil. This brings us back again to the focus on personal freedom. The cause does not disappear simply because there is a political or financial freedom. There will always be some form of social pressure, and we will always need to free ourselves from the vanities of the modern world so as to not become the lazy, greedy, and narcissistic caricatures of modern mankind. We will always need to work towards self mastery and social prowess so that we can authentically express who we are and joyfully seek what we desire of life. Let that be our work. Pause. We just need a pause for the cause, right? A pause for the cause. A cause interrupted. It is only in active self-expression and pursuit of our own aims that we can become free. It is only in active self-expression and pursuit of our own aims that we can become free. You know what I found, y'all? Here's what I found. I found that the moment that I desired to be my most authentic self, that is when I was really free. I literally have no desire to be anyone else. I walk to the beat of my own drum. I want to look like Nina. I want to sound like Nina. I want to dress like Nina. I want to talk like Nina. Like, I have no desire to be anyone else, because that's bondage. That's literally having yourself in chains trying to be someone else. Thinking, feeling, speaking, and behaving in ways that are truly our own brings integrity and shapes the foundation for our happiness. How could we ever lose sight of this? That's what the Bible, that's what the book says. Like, I'm calling it the Bible. Here's the deal. Do you know how much energy, how tired you got to be trying to be somebody else? There ain't no way you're at peace if you're trying to be somebody else. And this says thinking, feeling, speaking, and behaving in ways that are truly our own brings integrity. Oh, you're not even operating in integrity, and shapes the foundation for our happiness. You're not happy. How could we ever lose sight of this? Seeking personal freedom begins when you are young and starting to form our own beliefs and directing our own behaviors independent from the command of our caregivers. It is a child who takes her first steps away from her mother, who crosses the street safely by herself, who chooses with zeal what she wants to eat, wear, draw, or dress like. Hers is the story of our natural inclination to be independent, a desire to become our own persons. As we age, the impulse becomes more distinct, powerful, and intellectual. We consciously decide that we want to stand on our own, find our own way, chase our own dreams, break down our own boundaries, love without permission, and contribute without restriction. We decide to go away to school, break off an affair, take a risk, start a new career, join a movement, see the world. We start asserting our ideas because we want to make our own mark. This natural impulse never goes away. I remember, you all, growing up, I've always loved the color pink. I loved it as a little girl. I still love it now. And I remember, y'all, that my dad bought me, I wanted these, and I can't remember, maybe it was my mom or whatever. And I wanted these hot pink patent leather boots. They were to my knee. And I remember my dad saying, well, you just gonna wear them boots with everything? And I said, I sure am. Because I was marching to the beat of my own drum. And where I tell y'all that I wore those pink boots with everything, whether they thought it matched or not, it matched to me, because I was marching to the beat of my own drum, my own style. As far as I was concerned, they matched with everything because they matched with me. Somebody's going to catch that. I was 100% free because they matched with me. I mean, y'all see it, right? Even in my tree, pink. Right? Y'all like my tree? Y'all, yep, I put it up. Yep. And so, thinking that now, as we age, that impulse becomes more distinct, right? But that natural impulse never goes away. The issue is that our seeking is tragically interrupted in our lives again and again, stolen away by those around us or our own fearful thinking. And that is the reality that we now face. We must overcome social and self oppression. We don't have to just overcome social. We've got to overcome social and self oppression. If we are ever to join the ranks of the free souls who love their lives and lead their people, this is so powerful, y'all. And to this day, Paige will wear her cowboy boots with anything. She'll wear heels to if you let her, she'll put on heels with sweatpants. She don't care because she's free. She doesn't care about what other people think. She says it's my style. All right. So now we want to cover the social oppressions. Our most difficult task is to defeat social oppression, the caging of our spirit, and the stifling of our potential by others. Oh my, let me read that again. Our most difficult task is to defeat social oppression, being oppressed by others, the caging of our spirit, and the stifling of our own potential by others. You know, when somebody says to you, "Oh, you gonna do that again? Oh, they're literally trying to keep you oppressed because they are oppressed." We mean the moments when someone exercises judgment, authority, or power against us in a burdensome, cruel, manipulative, or unjust manner. It's when a parent controls us so much that we can't be ourselves. When a lover threatens us so much that we can't be ourselves. I'm sorry, when a lover threatens to withhold love if we don't do what they say. When a boss lies and then threatens us against telling the truth. When we want to follow our own spiritual beliefs, but the culture suffocates us with its dogma. It's when any other person's petty judgments, harsh criticisms, demeaning comments, injuries, or unreasonable expectations, and direct or indirect actions hold us back. Because there are some of you that are listening right now, or maybe will come to listen later, who the very moment that someone expresses the fact that they don't think that you should be marching to the beat of your own drum, you retreat because you're being socially oppressed. When others make us feel insignificant, powerless, or unworthy, this is an effect of oppression. There are people who, because they don't agree with what you decide to do, will cause you to make you think that you done missed God. Are you sure you hearing from God? And that is because you're free and they want you to be just as oppressed as they are. Because they might be afraid to start something new. Because they might be afraid, maybe certain people only see the world as black and white. Let me tell y'all something, baby, honey, baby. I see the world in big, gold, bright, beautiful colors. Don't put me in no box. But because other people have limited thinking, or because other people are scared to try something new, or because other people, they will literally say something to you because they know how to control you, manipulate you emotionally. Now you second guessing. And now you're second guessing. Let me tell y'all something. I've always known that I was called to entrepreneurialism. Always. Like always. There is never going to be a day when I ever allow anyone's thoughts, opinions, or anything to make me think that I need to go get a job. Not ever. Don't put me in a box. I am live and in living color. The world is not black or white to me. It's not gray. It is literally the rainbow, right? And so here we are now. When others make us feel insignificant, powerless, or unworthy, this is an effect of oppression. All the artificial barriers erected by a controlling society are part of this. The absurd and formal rules of or formal bureaucracies that limit people according to their background, their class, their religion, their race, their ethnicity, sexual preference, age, or appearance. People are limited by their own limiting beliefs. And if you are not careful, you will allow someone, because of your care and concern for them, your respect, your admiration, you will allow the way that they're small thinking, you will allow that to put you in oppression or in a prison. The moment somebody makes a face when you say that you want to do something, or the moment that someone, when you tell them that you want to do something and all they do is pick apart and or bring to you all the negative things that can happen. Instead of, well, what if it doesn't work? I always ask people, Lady B, well, what if it does? Well, what if it does? Some of us can remember dramatic times when we were mocked for being different or manipulated into conformity. I was mocked for wearing them pink boots. And guess what, y'all? I didn't care. I didn't care. They talked about me, that you just gonna wear them boots with everything. I sure am. Because I liked those boots. And I was mocked for wearing them. And I didn't care. As a kid, I didn't care. So here we go. When we were mocked for being different or manipulated into conformity, we can recall situations where we compromised who we were to avoid conflict. Ooh, we gave away pieces of our integrity in order to get along with others. Oh my goodness. We started acting like them in school or at the office. We faked it, put on a smile, walked the path we were told to. We did all we could to avoid the silence of ostracism or the sting of their judgment. We hoped above all to be secure, to be accepted, to belong. Social oppression is at work when the ways of others diminish who we are or stop us from pursuing our own goals. Often the most highly adaptive among us are the least aware of this process. And often they are socially the least successful and authentic. They have adapted into a predictable character and have lost their spontaneity and authenticity. They do not recognize themselves any longer in the mirror. They have forfeited their individuality. They are but caricatures of collective preference. No free thinking. No free thinking person wants such a fate. And so we must be eternally vigilant in refusing the desire to conform. Everybody in the comments, type it right now. Do not conform. Yet the sense of security people get from conformity cannot be understated. It is one of the great enemies of personal freedom. Conformity is a great enemy of personal freedom. The structure and rewards of society give order to an individual, but job titles, raises, Mr. and Mrs., positions on advisory boards, and public acclaim rarely give us deep meaning. They can indeed make it easier to be confident in our direction if we follow in preordained paths what others are doing. Then we can get signals that we are on track and that we will likely be accepted. But what if we chase all that and believe in all that, and then one day awake to find those things aren't what mattered most? To ask such a question, to rattle the cage of conformity, is to invite real risk into our lives. Now, here's what happens. When you decide to not conform to what everyone else is doing, just know that your life becomes real lonely. Because what happens is people don't call you. People don't call you to come to everything. People don't invite you to everything. I'm just telling you, you begin to live a very lonely life because you decided. It's almost like, when you, it's almost like, and not that they should do this, but if you watch people doing a line dance, right, Sharon? And you watch people doing a line dance and everybody's like, take it back now, y'all, right? Right foot, left, and then you got the other person over here, with the other foot, and you're supposed to be going to the right, slide to the right, and then the other person is sliding to the left. Take it back now, y'all. I mean, literally, my husband, he not so good at, he got that one now, right? But what I'm saying is, when people are just not in rhythm, sometimes you're going to be that person that when everybody else is sliding to the right, you might be sliding to the left, and you have got to be okay with marching to the beat of your own drum. I'm just saying. Yet the sense of no free, where we at? Social oppression, often the most highly adaptive among us are the least aware of this process and are often socially least successful and authentic. We read that, do not recognize themselves any longer in the mirror. Yet the sense of security people get from conformity cannot be understated, right? We read that. So they can indeed make it easier to be confident in our new day if we follow the preordained paths. To ask such a question, to rattle, but what if we chase all that and believe in all of that, and then one day awake to find that those things are, we read that. All right. To ask such a question, to rattle the cage of conformity, is to invite real risk into our lives. Once free from the cage of an animal finds itself alone. I just said that, right? I just said that. Unsure of what to do, separated from a life and things that it understands. So let me tell you something. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, because here we go. We've lived a life crossing from left to right for maybe 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. And here you are now having to cross from right to left. You literally are now unlearning all of what we've known before, only to realize that it wasn't that it was wrong. It just doesn't serve you anymore. The way we thought, the way we acted, the way we moved, it didn't serve us anymore. So the sudden uncertainty can be paralyzing. We're embracing the fact that, yes, now everything was certain before, and now I'm walking in this very uncertain place, and everything feels paralyzing because I used to walk from left to right, and now I got to walk from right to left. If we had total freedom in life, what exactly would we do? Where would we go? How would we behave day to day? And what would give us meaning? These questions can be terrifying. With this uncertainty, there is also risk of vulnerability and loneliness. I just said that. We are vulnerable because we are beyond the safe bars of the cage that, while limiting, make us feel secure. Those still trapped in the cage no longer see the freed as one of them. To refuse others' expectations may bring about our greatest fears, that we will be left isolated or abandoned, deemed inferior, and thought unworthy of love. As a matter of fact, when you realize that not only is it your greatest fears that you'll be left isolated or abandoned, deemed inferior, thought unworthy of love, people even think you're crazy. Well, why would you need to do that? Your life been fine all this time. You've been doing it X, Y. Here they go. Well, what's wrong with the way you've been doing it? You've been doing it like that all your life. What's wrong with your life? Ain't it comfortable like it is? Can I get a whoop whoop in the comments? Now, I know y'all know some people that say things like, why are you doing that? Aren't you? Oh, here's the one. Don't retire. Because once you retire, they'll say things like, but aren't you retired? But to stay confined by other people's rules brings about other risks. Chasing the prizes that society tells us we must want can also drive us away from our true selves. How many artists turned from their art because they were told they had to make money in a traditional way? How many of y'all been told you need to go get a real job? How many of y'all been told, why are you chasing that? Them things don't work. Woo! How many talented people shirk their strengths to fit into a more needed but less fulfilling role? How many have given up their dreams in order to follow a more secure and profitable and socially accepted path? The aims of others, our parents, our teachers, our spouses, our fans, can become our aims if we are not vigilant. Their certitude can replace our quest for something new. Their collective meaning can subjugate our search for an individual meaning. Yes, let us be wary. We can quickly lose ourselves in others and in our culture. We become not free and genuine humans, but rather slaves to opinion. Ouch, just say ouch, hallelujah. Slaves to opinion. This is the ultimate misery, living a life that is not our own. A difficult choice must therefore be made between the comforts of fitting in and pleasing others and our higher motive for personal freedom. This choice is easier once we reach the levels of maturity and enlightenment that allows us to see that we can be individually free, but not entirely apart from our culture and those that we love. That independence does not preclude interdependence. That individual uniqueness does not mean we must be social or spiritually distant outcasts. We learn that the more we learn that the more we are true to ourselves, the more we connect with and contribute to the world. So the more that you are true to yourself, the more you will connect to the world. And let me tell y'all something. The more that you are true to yourself, the easier you will find others that are like you. We find that the more free and spontaneous and authentic that we become, the more our motivation and aliveness returns, and the more others are attracted to us and want to be around us. Let me tell y'all something. No one likes being around people who literally you are like you're on autopilot, like your life is on autopilot. They know exactly what you're going to do. They know exactly when you're going to do it. They know they can call you at any given time because you are always in the same place doing the same thing with the same people. But we find that the more free and spontaneous and authentic we become, the more our motivation and aliveness returns, and the more others are attracted to us and they want to be around us. So those were social oppressions. Now let's talk about self-oppressions. Unfortunately, most oppression comes not from others, but from a source we least suspect, and that is ourselves. Self-oppression is the condition of letting our own negative thoughts and actions restrict us. It is an inside job, a burdening of our spirit by incessant doubt, worry, fear, and distraction. None of us wants to be called the cause of our own failure in life, yet most often we are. It is our own inept thinking, our own bad habits that rip the vibrancy from life. We are the ultimate oppressors of our own happiness. Self-oppression is evident whenever we limit ourselves. We stay home instead of going out because we are too anxious to explore. We procrastinate on an important assignment or exciting new venture because we cannot overcome our uncertainty. We fool ourselves into thinking that things must be perfect before we release our art into the world, when the clear reality is we're just too undisciplined to get things done. Ow! We lie to ourselves, break our own resolutions, allow our dreams to slide away without grasping at them. It is not clear to us that we can be our own worst enemy, but we can also be our own saviors. So the same way we are our own worst enemy is the same way that we can be our own savior. Through the active expression of our genuine nature and the steady efforts to master our minds and move our lives forward, we can finally, after all this time, experience the freedom and the joy that we deserve in life. This is why we seek personal growth, to be free from the pain that we cause ourselves, to make better choices, to feel better about who we are becoming, to act more confidently in social situations, and to unleash our full creativity and contributions into the world in order to make our highest difference. Gaining personal freedom in this sense is letting go of any self-doubt and self-loathing and allowing ourselves permission to be our unique, powerful, authentic selves. It is in freeing ourselves to be present and genuine in life that we find trust and confidence in ourselves, that we grow and master and realize our highest selves, that we find authentic joy in our interactions and experiences in the world, that we feel motivated and liberated. I want to go back to something. It says, it is in freeing ourselves to be present and genuine in life. So that means if we don't free ourselves, if we are self-oppressed, then we are not even present or genuine in life. Indeed, the telltale signs that someone is free and healthy are genuineness and growth. What are the signs that someone is free? Genuineness and growth. Authenticity and growth. Everybody type it in the chat. Be yourself. Growth. Authenticity, growth. Genuineness, growth. Those are the signs that someone is free. Aware of these things, we must have responsibility and courage to think for ourselves, to ask, are my ambitions, attentions, affections, and actions truly of my own choosing? Am I being my genuine self in the world of pursuing things that deeply matter to me? Am I opening myself to change and challenges so that I can stretch and grow into my full potential? This kind of diligence reminds us that personal power is directly tied to personal responsibility. Personal power is directly tied to personal responsibility, which most people avoid. Ruh-roh. Some might hope that freedom means that we can give up or release responsibilities from our lives, but nothing could be further from the truth. The thinking goes, if I am free, shouldn't I be free from all responsibilities? But personal freedom is not liberty to finally indulge in whatever passing moods or inclinations strike our fancy. It doesn't mean that we can act on every fast need, be cruel to others around us when we feel like it, take whatever we want whenever we want it, or act as an irresponsible buffoon simply because it would be fun or pleasurable in the moment. All this would be merely slavery, sorry. All this would be merely slavery to unconscious impulse and compulsion. Freedom requires responsibility to choose who we are above and beyond our immediate impulses, needs, and social pressures so that we can genuinely express the type of person we want to be. Live the life we truly want to live. Leave the legacy that we desire. If we are not free to choose our character and conduct and legacy, then we are controlled by something else. Thus, we are lacking freedom. And if we are not responsible for our beliefs and behaviors, then someone or something else is. Thus, again, we are slaves. And so the great demand is clear. We must be conscious and responsible for our beliefs and behaviors if we are ever to be free. Just as freedom does not mean the release of responsibility, it also does not necessarily mean the absence of struggle. To be sure that we all crave to be free from pain and limitation, but our quest for personal freedom is more complex. Yes, we want to release from pain. We want release from pain, but paradoxically, we don't mind adding discomfort in our lives in order to stretch ourselves to grow, to make a difference. We'll accept pain for gain, which is why we will push our bodies so hard to become stronger and faster, while we'll rise early despite fatigue to care for someone we love, while we'll sacrifice our time to help those in need, while we'll suffer through what is not right for a period of time to more sooner have what is right. Thus, personal freedom is more than just being free from pain. It is about being free to live, to truly enjoy and expand in life. It is not merely freedom from bad things that limit us, but freedom to experience good things that awaken us. Long ago, the human species transcended base animal instincts. When we found reason, judgment, and intelligence, we were able to choose beyond our simple physical impulses to avoid pain or seek pleasure. That's what most people want to do. They want to avoid pain or seek pleasure. We learned that the meaning is more important than immediate pleasure. Indeed, what have we learned from all of our mentors, heroes, teachers, survivors, leaders, saints, and legends, if not that in our finest hours we are willing to forego pleasure and endure pain in order to have freedom, meaning, love, and transcendence. And so we want freedom from pain, and yet we'll celebrate meaningful struggle and hardship because we know those very things will free us from one level of life and set us into another. We know that pain can be necessary and heroic, that our difficulties need not to be condemned, but often seen as a rite of passage that opens the doors to greatness. And in this way, personal freedom is perhaps an enlightened and romantic ambition, heroic and poetic, but real nonetheless. It is a human drive to transcend. Could it be that this transcendence, this personal freedom, is the main motivation of mankind? Because it is also the ultimate demand and destination of human experience. In our living days, we arrive to have more freedom of choice and prosperity so that we can genuinely express ourselves and provide more opportunities to those that we love. And in our last moments, all that we have suffered for and suffered from shall be released as our souls slip into the ultimate freedom of the divine. That is it. In life, we seek freedom. In death, we are released into its vastness. So now we must, a dedicated pursuit. I think we might be able to get done. To achieve and sustain personal freedom, we must dedicate ourselves to self-mastery. How do we sustain personal freedom? By dedicating ourselves to self-mastery. Y'all type it in the chat. Self-mastery. We must determine and discipline our own motivations to stay true to our own self, to our sense of self, to our own path. With this in mind, we needn't ever be confused about why we act the way we do. This truth is worth repeating once more to drill it deep into our psyches so that our actions are no longer accidental or such a frustrating mystery. Every decision and action of humankind stems from a hope to attain personal freedom. We seek to be free from hardship, pain, fear, anxiety, and want. Free from oppression, free to be ourselves, free in the moment to sense surprise, spontaneity, and our own spirit. Free to choose our life's course, free to pursue our dreams, free to love openly without judgment or condition or regret, free to give our time and energy and resources to causes that we believe in, free to experience and enjoy future peace, passions, and prosperity. It is the primary motive for all of our striving to be free. If we can remember that it is personal freedom that we seek, then we can organize, aim, and realize ourselves. And so let us now be fully conscious of personal freedom. Let's type in personal freedom as our driving force. And let us remember to honor that drive in our daily ambitions and actions. Let freedom ring in our ears once more. This time, more loudly, more closely, more personally. Let us be bold in our self-expression and dedicated to building our ideal lives. There is no veil of ease about the extraordinary effort required to be free. It requires extraordinary effort. Breaking from conformity and pursuing our own dreams will bring some discord upon us. There will be personal struggle and sacrifice, fear and misfortune as we try to exert ourselves in the world once more. A vital dedication to our genuine nature and our dreams will annoy people or raise their ire. It will injure egos, step on toes, split relationships, and force interventions with those who try to limit us or stop our march. My goodness. We might have to confront the bullies, break up with the jerks, leave the poisonous work environment, and challenge others to higher standards. Yet, yes, this work will be hard. So let us take a stock of what lies ahead. This work will require that we finally declare who we are and what we want. It will require new levels of presence and power and ownership in the important roles that we play in our lives. It will require us to upend our very days and finally reestablish personal control of our agenda. It will require the courage to defeat the internal demons that defy our greatness. It will require willingness to advance with abandon beyond your own comfort zones. It will require new practices of joy and a greater sense of gratitude. It will require that we refuse to break our integrity when faced with hardship. It will require that we unleash love so that our soul can soar. It will require a rise to greatness so that we may serve and lead and leave our mark. And it will require that we sense time differently so that we might experience each moment's vastness and freedom. For each of these efforts, we must set bold new declarations in our lives to spend the full force of our energies advancing toward a personal freedom, the genuine life full of vibrancy and meaning. This shall be our aim. Let us marshal our motivations to align with such a high and worthy cause. Let us set new declarations and discipline in our life. Let the value of freedom ring through every crevice of our minds, through every thought and action that we choose, through every relationship we influence, through the long days and long marches that lead to our highest selves and highest contributions through all the hopeful dreams born from a liberated soul. My goodness. And that ends chapter 1 on freedom. Next Monday, we will tackle on fear. He who is brave is free. So I don't know about y'all, but my goodness, that's all I can say about this. My goodness, personal freedom. Let freedom ring. And so I pray that this book impacted you today. For those of you who might be just joining us, we're reading the Motivation Manifesto, 9 declarations to claim your personal power by BRENDON BURCHARD. We are only finishing chapter 1, so you can always go back to this YouTube so that you can watch the introduction and the beginning of chapter 1. This was the second portion of chapter 1. Listen, I want to make sure that we are following each other. So make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, because I don't want you ever to miss anything when we go live here on YouTube. You will always get a notification if you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you are following me on all my social media platforms. On Instagram, there it is right there below, at The Real Nina Moorer. All right. On Instagram, please make sure you go follow me. I'm always doing something crazy on Instagram. Okay. Then on Facebook, and I'm going to tell y'all something. My names are consistent all across the board. You're either going to see Nina Moorer or you're going to see the Wellness Queen. On Facebook, I am also Nina Rochelle Moorer. On TikTok, I am Nina Moorer, the Wellness Queen. So just make sure that you are following me on all of my social media platforms. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my website, ninamoorer.com. And when you subscribe, you will receive a free gift in your email, just as a thank you for taking time out to subscribe to my website. So listen, I pray that you have a great rest of your evening. And I want to make sure that you all wait a minute. We are getting ready to have the biggest event ever here in Atlanta, Georgia on Sunday. Together, right? Enjoy your evening. Be kind. Listen, let's pray, y'all. The tensions have been raised. This is election week. So let's find a way to brush some stuff off of our shoulders, be kind to one another, do a good deed, pay it forward. All right. Pay it forward. And let's say a special prayer this evening for our country, for the world, you guys, that we'll have some peace over the next few days. I want you to always remember that God loves you, I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Good night, and God bless you all. We'll see you next Monday.